Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Michael Bartnick from Software Solutions Group. Today we'll be going over the GL chart of accounts for Dynamics GP. We'll be taking a look at the account format. We'll go over the GL account card. We'll look at the different types of accounts, posting, unit, and allocation accounts. We'll create a new GL account. We'll create a new GL account segment. I'll show you how to use the Mass Modify tool to expedite creating new accounts or updating accounts. And I'll show you how to print off a chart of accounts listing. To start off, I'm going to go into GP and take a look at our account format. To do that, I start by going to Administration, the Setup, which I've expanded for you, the panel, and I scroll down into the Company section where I find the account format. So you can see I have a three-segment account structure already defined for my sample company with a division, account, and department. The division being three characters in length, the account 4, and the department 2. The account is my natural account, which I have to signify with my main segment ID. So I've already done that for sample company. And the segment's going to be separated by a hyphen. So you can see your GL chart of accounts might be different from sample company. You might have a different number of segments. They might have a different length, also different names. So I might not necessarily want to use department. This might actually be location. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK, and that is our account format. Now that we've reviewed that, let's go in and take a look at our chart of accounts. So I'm going now to the financial series, and I already have my cards panel expanded. I click the account and it opens my account maintenance screen. The account maintenance screen is where I maintain all of my accounts. So I can use the lookup to pull up the lookup screen, and I can scroll through or search for account numbers, or I can simply just type my account number in. I'm going to type mine in for the sales account. When I tab off the account number, it fills in the rest of the account card for me. So to start off, as I've already mentioned, the first thing on the account is our account number, followed by our description, which is required. You can also have an alias, which is just a shorthand tool used for looking up accounts. The next portion on here, you see a checkbox for allowing account entry. So that is that option is going to allow you to make a journal entry or add the account to a distribution on a transaction screen. If you don't check this, you won't be able to add a journal entry for this account. So it helps for reconciling. This way, if you have a cash account or an accounts payable or accounts receivable inventory account, and you don't allow people to do journal entries, it makes it harder. It makes it harder to have transactions that shouldn't go to that account. So you can prevent problems with reconciling that account later on. The next section below that checkbox is the category. The category is used for grouping on financial statements. So you can see our sales account is just simply assigned to our sales category. GP comes with a bunch of predefined categories which you can add to this list. Below the category are two very important setup options for our posting type and typical balance. So our posting type defines what's going to happen to this account at year end. If we leave the account as a balance sheet account, it will retain the balance. Versus if we change it to a profit and loss type account, it will automatically close to retained earnings. So our sales account is selected as profit and loss, and it's going to close it when we run our year-end routine. The option below posting type is our typical balance. So the typical balance determines on how our GL account balance is going to display on our financial statement. So because I'm looking at sales account, revenue account, the typical balance selected is credit. So if there's so we should normally see a credit balance on the account. If there was a debit balance on the account, it would display as a negative on our financial statement. Moving over now to the middle of the screen, Our level of posting from series all default to detail, so we can have the posting from our sales, inventory, purchasing, payroll coming in either as a detail function or summary. And that can be controlled on each individual account. Next to the postings from series is including in lookup. So if we have the sales account, it shouldn't be used in or displayed in inventory or purchasing or payroll. We can select only have it in sales. If it should be in multiple series, you can hold down the control key on your keyboard and select multiple series at once. Below our included in lookup, we see these user-defined fields. We have up to 4 user-defined fields that we can assign on accounts. So this could be used for if you don't have an area to store a piece of information, you have an option. So if you have additional information on your GL account number that you'd like to have stored in the system, you can use these user-defined fields, and you can change the names on the user-defined fields in the GL setup. Below at the very bottom, you see 4 buttons. We can get summary information for our account, so we can do a quick inquiry from our account from the account card. To go to the summary page to see the debits, credits, net change, and period balance for all 12 periods and a total. We can also go to the budget for the account card. I'm going to skip over analysis for now, and if we're using multi-currency, we can see all of the currencies that are assigned to be used with this particular account. If you're only using one currency, you wouldn't have to bother with setting up the currencies, multiple currencies. So I'll save my changes for now. The next thing we're going to look at is, now that we've taken a look at posting accounts, our unit accounts is a bit of a non-traditional type of account. A unit account can be used for storing non-financial information such as square footage, full-time employees, a census type account, and have it stored in your GP. So as you can see, when I open up the lookup, I have different unit accounts set up for square footage, number of installations, employee count. So I'm going to pull up the square footage administration. These unit accounts can be used to help you with breaking down allocations for things like utility expenses. It's very similar to the item card, where we start off by we have an account number assigned to the unit account along with a description and alias. We have we can set a number of decimal places on the account, and you can see for each year that we've had the account what the net change in period balance is for the account, whether or not this can be used in sales and purchasing, and this checkbox right in the middle of the screen to clear balance during year-end close. This is similar to our option for the posting type. If we decide to clear balance during year-end close, it's like setting up the account as a profit and loss account, where it won't carry over the balance from one year to the next. If I come down the bottom, you can see that I can get a history. I can do an inquiry just like I did from the posting account, or I can even budget my unit accounts. So if I had was budgeting full-time employees for departments, I can set that budget for the year. The next type of account to look at is our allocation account. And GP breaks down allocation accounts into 2 separate buckets. There's variable allocation accounts and fixed allocation accounts. The variable allocation accounts lives in the financial card section as well. And just like posting accounts and unit accounts, the first thing we have is an account number and a description and an alias. Just like unit accounts and posting accounts, the variable allocation account can be made inactive. If we go down to the middle, you'll see that there's this option to based on base the allocation on year-to-date amounts or transaction period amounts. The level of posting, again, similar to the posting accounts, can be in detail or summary fashion based on all of the series we're using the variable allocation account for. And we can include it in lookups. We can tell what series we should be including this account in for lookups: sales, inventory, purchasing, and payroll. Now, if I go down to my distribution accounts, these are going to be the accounts that are going to be the hit on the allocation. You can see when I highlight my account, I have a breakdown account on the right hand side in this grid. So this breakdown account is actually a unit account. Oops, I hit the account alias screen. If I click the breakdown account link, it will take me to the unit account maintenance screen, and you can see I'm using square footage to help me allocate the rent expense to this distribution account. So for each of these distribution accounts, you can see I have a different breakdown account. So the unit account value for the 300 department or division will determine how much of the rent expense gets allocated to this particular distribution account, and so on for all of the other distribution accounts in my list. I can easily add additional distribution accounts to my list just by simply typing them in or using the lookup. And then also, if I've set up a unit account, I'll set that up on a separate screen, on a separate grid over to the right. Now, the other type of allocation accounts in GP are fixed allocation accounts. If I open up this screen, you'll see it looks very similar to the variable allocation account, and I have a utilities expense allocation. I have my description, my alias, and again, I can also always make this account inactive. You see my distribution is breaking out in the various accounts in this left-hand grid with a particular percentage on the right-hand column. So these percentages are hard-coded. They don't necessarily vary. They do not vary based on the unit account like we saw on the variable allocation accounts. These are set in the setup screen, and they total up to 100%. So this utilities expense account will be distributed to these other distribution accounts based on all of these percentages. And similar to what we saw before, we can post in detail or summary and include and specify the lookups to include for the particular series: sales, inventory, purchasing, or payroll. So now we've reviewed all of the different types of accounts. Let's go create a new posting account. So I'm going to take you back to the account screen, where I would simply, to start off, I would type in the account number. But before I do that, as I've mentioned before, the account number is made up of three segments. So for today's example, I'm going to say that we have a new sales account to create, and there's a new segment code for we're expanding into Mexico, so I need to create segment 10, or excuse me, I need to create a value for the location segment, and it's going to be setup. If I go scroll down in GP, go to my setup, and I'm selecting from setup segment, and you can see the segment ID. If I click the lookup, I have my three segments for my account, division, and location, and this is going to be my location segment. If I click the lookup, I can see all of the existing segments values I have set up from 0 to 9 and 99, all of which don't have a description yet, which I can change that. So my new segment is going to be segment number 10, and I'm going to call it Mexico. So I'll save that, and you can see now in my location I have one segment which has a description to it. Now all of these other segments were originally created without a description. If I wanted to, I could give it a description, and when I save it, it'll ask me if I want to roll down that account segment description to all the accounts that contain that segment. What that will do is it will add the US that I just added as a description on the segment to any accounts that are already in GP. I'm going to say no and just leave the existing segment descriptions that sample company came with. So now I'm going to go back to create my new sales account in my cards account, and I'm going to say it's 000 4100 10. And you can see it automatically comes in with a partial description of Mexico because that was named as part of and the segment setup window. I'm just going to override that, and I'm going to type in sales Mexico, and I'm going to give it an alias of just SMEX. I'm going to allow account entry. My inactive flag, I'm going to leave that blank. I can always change the inactive status of it if I don't want to allow account entry, if I want to make the account inactive. I'll use the sales category again. Change my posting type and my typical balance. I'm going to leave my posting series and just include this in the sales lookup. All I have to do now is hit save to save my account, and it's available in my chart of accounts. Another option is a useful tool in GP is the mass modify tool. So this can be used for a handful of reasons. So if I go back to my cards and I'm going to expand the window, you'll see mass modify is right in the middle. If I click this button to open up my mass modify screen, I can copy, move, inactivate, delete, or update accounts. So if I wanted to create new accounts for my chart of accounts for this Mexico expansion that I'm doing, I could use this tool instead of typing in each of my accounts. So the first thing I do is I'm going to tell it to use the account description from either the existing accounts or to generate them from the account segments. So if I had the Mexico segment and all of my other segments defined for my account and my department, I could use that. I'm going to leave it as the existing accounts description from the sample company. The next thing I do is I select the account range I want to copy. So I'm going to copy from 000 1300, my inventory account, all the way. I'm going to just go to the end, go to my expense accounts. Then I enter in a mask for my accounts that I'm creating. So I'll leave the first segment as question marks. So it'll create for all of my different departments. It will create accounts. I'll leave the main account segment as question marks, and then just change the last account segment for my location to 10. And it will create all of the accounts within my range for that new segment. To show you to see what this is going to do, to preview it, I can hit this selected range, change my display from all, and you see the grid down in the bottom changes to show me the new account it's going to create, or the accounts it's going to use. So it's using only from account 1300 to account 6190 with all of these location codes. It will then have a location code of 10 when it creates them. So now if I hit modify, it's going to be quickly. It's telling me I'm going to create a duplicate account. We'd like to continue. I'm going to say yes to all. And the screen flashes for a second, and it's all done creating my accounts. You can see it now refreshed and cleared out the account range I had in before. So if I X out of here, I can go to my account lookup, and I can see that if I type in 1300 10, I have a Mexico inventory account. If I wanted to review a listing of my GL accounts, I can use either Smart List or Report. I could print a report using in Reports in Financial. If I go to Account, I could say I want to see all of my posting accounts. I can insert that. and hit print. Oops, expand that a little bit too much. And I have a chart of accounts listing. Alternatively, if you're familiar with SmartList, which are I think a little bit easier to use, if I go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, select SmartList, and I'm just going to shrink this down so it fits on the screen a little bit better. If I select Financial Accounts, I have an easy chart of accounts listing here, which I can use the search function or add columns to using SmartList. So again, thank you for joining us today to learn about the GL chart of accounts in GP. My name is Michael Bartnick. Please check out other videos here at Software Solutions Group.